They have all these like
glasses.
images like, God, what is this guy gonna look like?
I know. What is he gonna look like?
He's gonna look like John Malkovich.
The very strange looking John Malkovich.
Yeah,
Is
that
what
guy
he's
looks
gonna look
just like this photo. His nose is weird, man. Yeah, let him in.
Can't be him.
I know.
Right now is the time for me to leave everything I know behind.
Come on, baby. Light my fire. Come on, baby. Light my fire. Try to set the night on fire.
So deep.
We're not doing The Doors by Oliver Stone this week. Thank goodness, probably. But we are doing the movie In the Line of Fire by...
It's connected.
Yes, it's connected.
I'm confident.
How is
I'm
that
confident
connected,
it's connected. It's fire.
The fire, In the Line of Fire. Yeah.
I know, but you referenced Val Kilmer, who we talked about last week in
I
Real
know.
Genius.
I'm trying to
talked about how
tie
much
it in more.
we hated The
Using
Doors.
All these
God.
like tie-ins, man, you know, because our
man.
sponsors love it when we do tie-ins
So
to the previous episodes, because then people go back and they consume our previous episodes and they
so
hear more
smart.
ads. This week we are talking about the 1993 or 4
Three?
movie,
Yeah.
movie In the Line of Fire, directed by Wolfgang Petersen, famous director of Das Boot, and starring Clint Eastwood as Frank Horrigan, the old as hell Secret Service agent, John Malkovich as Mitch Leary, a shifty, costume-changing serial killer type guy who wants to kill the president. Rene Russo as Lily Raines, a much younger woman who is very improbably attracted to Clint Eastwood and his old man lips. Dylan McDermott is Al D'Andrea, the guy who was written to die at a key moment in the movie to make Clint Eastwood sad, because boy, is there not much to that character.
He was a 90s man. Yeah, they wrote him to die.
He was Ensign Smith from the old Star Treks. As soon as you see him, you're like, well, this guy is going to die.
Yeah, he cares about his family.
He's a family man. He wants to quit. Gary Cole is in it somewhere for some reason to yell a couple times. Senator Fred Thompson is also in it as the White House Chief of Staff. He likes to yell a lot. And John Mahoney rounds it out as Sam Campagna or something. But he's basically Clint Eastwood's sort of charming old friend who helps him out sometimes. Yeah, but that's it. We've come here to talk about this movie.
Why?
What? Why?
That's a good question.
You picked it.
I
but-
picked it, yeah. I picked it because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I watched it a bunch back in the day, and I really liked it. It's one of those movies that's never as famous as I kind of thought it should be. Like, it did well in its initial release, just like Midnight Run, but then it also just kind of fell off the radar, and kind of nobody talks about it anymore. So it's a good movie, I feel like, to just unearth, examine, and see if it still works.
And does it?
Does anyone want to talk about the plot?
It's a tale as old as time.
A tale as old as time. Beauty and the Psycho Assassin.
You want to do it, Brian?
I can try. So Frank is an old Secret Service agent, so old that he was actually in the JFK motorcade when JFK was assassinated. And he
was pretty old then too.
Yeah, and everyone is still surprised that Frank's still hanging around, just
and alive.
Yeah. But he's kind of been like put away a little bit. So, he's near the end of his run. And so, but anyways, long story short, he gets a tip on the line from a landlady of some renter's apartment, and she's freaked out because he has kind of one of those, what do you call them?
Psycho wall?
Yeah.
String and
serial killer wall.
Sharks.
Yeah, like the crazy serial killer wall.
Yeah,
like
the paste up a bunch of newspaper clippings and shit. Yeah.
Circles around it.
X's through eyes. Cross out a guy's head.
I was trying to think of the term. It's like not a memory board, but like the one. Yeah, it's like
a hope chest for psychos.
Yeah, whatever that is. Like
that'd be like a fun collage to make, like as an art project.
Yeah, it would be, right? Yeah.
A little serial killer wall.
Yeah, like a hostage note in picture form. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Frank gets this tip, and so he investigates it with his partner, and it seems legit, and then it turns into a game of kind of cat and mouse when the potential assassin starts calling Frank and makes himself known, and turns it into a bit of a game of whether or not he can find him. And it turns out that this, assassin has reverence for Frank. He's a bit of a historian in a way, which, not giving it away too much, but wink, wink, he at one point in time was also in one of the 3-lettered agencies, which you don't find out till later that he's been wronged.
He's in the FDA.
Yeah. He's in the
Study E. coli in food.
He's in the D. The FDA.
Do you know how much rat feces is in
He
your
was in the
food?
CDC. He was in the
lot.
So the whole movie is really about Frank wanting one last turn to protect the president, because he's old. Frank feels as if he's the best person to snuff out this individual, essentially because he's been brought into this game by the assassin. What's his name?
Oh yeah, Mitch Leary.
He goes by Booth. So
Booth. He goes by Booth.
Yeah, he goes by Booth because
Hey,
John Wilkes Booth. Was he a CIA agent or something like that?
Yeah, he's
At one
CIA.
point?
I think
He's ex-CIA that's sort of been like wronged by the CIA and was attempted. They tried to kill him off or whatever. And so, anyways, he's decided that his big last hurrah is that he's going to take out the president and, be famous or whatever, get his revenge. It's a whole bunch of phone calls and the Secret Service trying to record the phone call, but guess what? They can never stay on the line long enough to track him where he's at. So those type of things. And
it's a game. It's a classic game of cat and really old ass mouse.
Cat, decrepit mouse,
Decrepit alley mouse. It's got a little cane.
As I was watching this, I thought, man, Clint Eastwood looks old, and this was 30 years ago.
He's 95 now. He started pulling Social Security when this movie was filmed.
yeah. He's 62 when this movie was filmed.
But to Greg's point, it was kind of a 90s, not a hidden gem, but yeah, it wasn't really talked about much. I remember watching this and liking it, but I don't know if it ever received its due. Watching it now, it's a bit dated, but
you watch it now and you're like, yeah, you can see the dated stuff in it, but like the core entertainment value of it hasn't really dimmed for me anyway. And I have to say, when I saw this, I was like, there's a weird age gap between him and Rene Russo, but like they fudge over it with acting and stuff. And this time I was like, wow, he's old. He's really fucking old. And Rene Russo, she's like Hollywood old, which is like 40, they're like, oh my God, he's put her out to pasture, I mean, it's like, what's she gonna do other than date old men in movies? And you're like, but she's not old. He's 62. Like, she wouldn't go for him.
I don't know. Have you ever approached a woman with a small ice cream and a wooden stick? I mean, I feel like that's his go-to move, and he's just like, let's get an ice cream.
That was
like, oh God.
That was when I was growing up in Massachusetts. Those are called hoodsies. They're like Hood made ice cream in little cups with a crappy little stick, and you'd rip the lid off it. There's a crappy little stick in there, and you'd eat it out of the thing, and they called them hoodsies. That was the Massachusetts thing. Get a hoodsie.
Yeah, well, apparently you can date Rene
works.
Russo.
You can pick up a woman 22 years younger than you if you get her a hoodsie.
You just take her to the Lincoln Memorial and give her a hoodsie.
Give her a hoodsie, dude.
She's playing with your schmeckle.
What the hell?
You can edit that
out. He's turned into like an old
Clint Eastwood has never said the word schmeckle in his entire life.
It's very uncharacteristic.
You never know. Who knows?
I'm not saying he's anti-Semite. He's non-Semite. He's very non-Semite. Oh my lord!
I guess let's go around. What do we like about this movie?
I want to understand why you picked it and why, out of all the movies that we could have watched, you thought In Line of Fire was one that we all needed to see.
It sounds like you don't like it, Brian. Do you not like it?
I don't. I should say I don't. I did. I watched this as I remember liking this movie. I still think it's still good.
Yeah.
To your point, I don't think we've ever done a Rene Russo movie either.
No, it's three like good, and John Mahoney's awesome and all kinds of stuff. Never done John Mahoney in anything, I think. There are a lot of people in here that were Senator Fred Thompson. I mean,
Dylan.
Oh my God, his
He
outrage.
was senator the very next year after this.
Yeah, he was like in politics, I
That's
think,
fucking insane.
before, and then he became Senator Fred Thompson.
I don't think there's a single person in this movie that we've had in another.
No, I don't think so either. I know, and the writer of this movie got nominated for an Academy Award, and then there isn't a whole bunch of stuff this guy was famous for other than this. I mean, like,
Wow.
Yeah, it's
got a pretty famous director,
a fresh set of people. But yeah, we haven't done a Wolfgang Peterson movie either. I mean, like there's a bunch of stuff we haven't talked about. And I was really like this.
Oh, Enemy Mine. We were talking about doing Enemy Mine.
Yeah,
Enemy Mine
at some point.
That
Never-ending
is a
story.
Weird
Classic.
movie. Wolfgang did the never-ending
did?
story.
Really?
Did he? Really?
Oh, he also
No, he
did
didn't.
Schwarz und Weiße wie Tage und Nacht.
Oh, that's my
Wait.
favorite. Yeah.
So
He
good.
did Never-Ending Story?
It's so good. Yeah, it's he did Never-Ending Story in '84.
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. It's so
Well-
we have him to blame for that scene where the horse dies in the mud.
Was it the
Betrayal.
horse's art tax?
Scumbag.
So one thought I had about this movie is enjoyable, and I remember there's the final scene is great with Malkovich, in the elevator, but I think it gets lost in. It was like the John Grisham era. So you have like the Pelican Brief and The Firm and
Pelican
True
Brief.
Lies. Like, but there's so many of these like
Yeah.
political action thriller type things out there.
It was back when we had a functioning government. Like, there's so much to write about. Like,
I know.
like all these branches that did shit.
But this kind of falls in there. But I think it stood out a little bit
I
from.
feel like it stands out. I
think the
I'll-
Malkovich performance makes it stand
I'll
out.
say why I think it stands out. I think it stands out because it's like a nihilist action movie, which is, like the central character's reason for wanting to kill the president is to punctuate the dreariness, which is like a super dark premise to set an action movie on with Clint Eastwood, a Hollywood action movie. His character is a really relevant character from like US history. Basically, like all these dudes got sent in the 80s, the 70s and 80s got sent out, what they called them wet boys, right? They'd send them out to these skirmishes and wars and they'd come in and fucking assassinate people with taxpayer money that was like hidden from Congress. And then when they came back, there was no parade. Some of them were probably bumped off by the government. Some of them were just hidden,
Liquidated.
made to shut up. Yeah, and like, so his character is really like a holdover from all the dirty shit that like Reagan and previous presidents were doing in Central and South America, especially. We fought so many wars, and we fought in Afghanistan, we fought in Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, the Contras, all this stuff. So like, there are all these secret wars that were going on, and they didn't get any parade, they didn't get any benefits, they didn't get, thank you for your service at the airport and shit. They got left.
Thank you for your incredibly dirty service.
I know, but like, so I mean, what's the difference of the government telling a guy to go in and assassinate Archbishop Romero or something, right? Or the government ordering you to go into Afghanistan into an official war and kill somebody? Like, you're still being ordered by the government to kill somebody. But the person who went to Afghanistan gets thank you for your service at the airport. And these guys who went to these dirty ass secret wars have to either die or go away forever. So like, I feel like that's a really interesting character to set as the antagonist in this movie. And like, he doesn't really give a fuck whether he lives or dies anymore. He just wants to do something interesting before he goes out, because his life is a fucking shambles. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't have any relationships. His main kink is like tweaking the old guy who wants to protect a pretty unworthy seeming president compared to Kennedy. Like the traveler guy, the president in this movie.
He's down by 20 points.
Yeah, I know. It's a remarkable comeback that he makes.
My God.
It's like, usually if you're down 2 points, you're like, geez, well, you got a lot of fucking work to do. Down 20 points? Like that's the Canadian election,
Was he caught blowing somebody? Like,
yeah, I know. What the
What
fuck? What's he doing? How's
20
he,
points.
he must be
What did
really
you
great
do?
at stump speeches, because he just like in 3 weeks he's erased the 20-point deficit.
Are you actually a loaf of bread? Like, why are you? What is going on?
So like this, and I think it's on purpose. The president is kind of like a talking head lump of a man.
Yeah, he's a MacGuffin.
Not
He's the fucking
inspiring.
MacGuffin.
He's a 90s, middle of the road, turd of a politician. Yeah, exactly. He's a
I have
MacGuffin.
no idea where he stands. Like, he's
Yeah,
just
it's Commander
president.
MacGuffin. So like, that I always found interesting. I really liked that scene where he's trying out his plastic gun and the hunters come over and they're like, "Hey, what you got there, man?" And he's like, "A gun. I made it myself." And they're like, "Pretty neat. You want to try?" You're like,
Roll
"Can I try it?" And he's like, "Feel free." then the hunter shoots the duck, and he's like, "Pretty neat. Can I buy it?" You know, it's like, "No, I need it to shoot the president." They were like, "Well, why'd you want to do that, mister?" And he's like, "Why'd you kill that bird, asshole?" And then just murders these two guys. And like, that's kind of the central premise of this. Like, why does anyone do anything like this? Why? What's any different from this guy murdering birds for no fucking reason? Like, he's not going to eat the bird. He's not going to pick it up. It's just this random act of fucking violence that the world is full of. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to choose to hunt the president instead.
So you're saying you aren't siding with the hunters on that one?
No, I mean it's Hollywood's version of like hunters. Yeah, they're supposed to be.
You're given two cookie cutters of America.
Totally. All right, meat.
Choose from one.
It's a great scene, though. You know, even though it's full of stereotypes.
That's probably the one I remember the most.
I love that scene, man. That's a great one.
Before you joined, Brian and I were talking a little bit about this. I'm actually surprised that this movie didn't like have a resurgence, because in 2022 the Japanese prime minister was assassinated by someone who made an improvised weapon, and I like when that happened, my mind immediately went to this movie. Because like that's the only other time I've heard of something even similar to this was John Malkovich in The Line of Fire. It turns out it wasn't anything like the improvised weapon that John Malkovich did. It was basically just like two metal tubes that he had attached to his arm with duct tape, and then somehow made it fire.
It's like Taxi Driver, right?
Yeah, real
psycho
shit.
Yeah, that's crazy. I actually like his gun. The gun's neat. Like, you know, the plastic gun looks like crap, but like the conceit of it, where like the gun is plastic, and I love that he has the Lucky Rabbit's foot chain, keychain thing, and he like drops the bullets in him. Like, that would work. You could get bullets through a metal detector inside a Lucky Rabbit's foot keychain, and
the spring from the pen. Like, it's very plausible that he was, you know.
The what?
The spring from the pen.
The spring from the pen. Exactly. Yeah. The way they set it up is pretty neat. I'm like, yeah, that would, and like everyone's rich. No one's expecting any. He's an established political action campaign donor. He's a high roller. They're like, what are they? The guy Sandy, the head of the pack or whatever he's meeting with, is like,
oh yeah, I know that guy.
Pat down my guys. You know, like, come on, these are high rollers. So like, yeah, you tell like what you could get in with that stuff. Like, yeah, I thought it was neat. It was kind of plausible.
I think that, I agree. I think that was one of the things I always thought was kind of cool, was the gun is plausible, and like how he assembles it. And you're like, oh, that probably in that day and age of technology, it would probably work. Like, all you had to do is get by a shitty metal detector,
and so it's so ahead of its time. Like they have literal 3D printing maps for making guns now. Like, you can just download that shit on the internet and 3D print yourself like a plastic gun.
Rabbit Fighters does not condone the download.
No, we do not. I don't, anyway.
I did think it was really humorous that he is kind of Jackal-esque, where he puts on masks and stuff.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
But his final thing is just a clean cut looking John Malkovich. Like,
I know.
John Malkovich right there. Look at him.
The disguise is no disguise except for like a fake nose, and I'm like, wait,
the glasses. The glasses. I mean, they were for Clark Kent. It works like a charm. No one knows he's Superman.
They have all these glasses. Like images. Like, God, what is this guy gonna look like?
I know. What is he gonna look like?
He's gonna look like
John
Malkovich.
The very strange looking John Malkovich.
That guy looks just like this photo. His nose is weird, man. Yeah. Let him in.
Can't be him.
I know.
The goofy thing about this, though, is they know who he is.
So
they get the fingerprint. They find out his file is classified or whatever. And they're like, well, they don't say anything. And so they don't tell him that it's this former, assassin. That makes it a far more plausible if a risky situation. And then the chief of staff is like, I don't care. We're losing. I would be like, you'd rather the guy die? It's very stupid. So outraged at all times.
I feel like this is like when car companies find out that they have like a fatal flaw in one of their cars, and like they'd have to recall like 50,000 cars, or
like what's more expensive, 100?
Yeah, they'll be like, what's more expensive?
Calling 50,000 cars,
paying for people's lawsuits, or paying for the car recall, and they just make the calculation. And I think that's Fred Thompson's character is basically like, this is about winning, not about the guy. It's not about Traveler, not about the president. He doesn't even fucking care about a lot of what Traveler wants to accomplish.
I mean, that's how you know it's I think it's so dated. Is you don't even know what party he's in. You don't know what his stance is on anything.
And that's on purpose. Yeah.
You just have absolutely no idea who the fuck this president is. It's just like, you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah, because I think the whole point is it wouldn't matter who the president is. It's really just about Frank and Booth and him just being like, well, I've decided that this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, it's a game that I'm going to have fun with, whether or not you can stop me or not.
Which is
and
a concept from an earlier era that does not exist anymore.
Yeah. I know.
Because you cannot make a president movie right now where you don't like fucking know from the first second. All right, am I supposed to hate this guy or love this guy? There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't remember who the president was in this movie.
Like, they show him? He's a MacGuffin. And they have a thing. It's totally a MacGuffin. And they have a thing where Malkovich is talking to Eastwood on the phone, and he's saying like, it's interesting that you're wanting to protect the president again. I couldn't imagine why, or something like that. He just basically is saying like, this guy is totally unworthy of you jumping in front of a gun for, like, he's not Kennedy, he's not anyone, he's just a lump.
I think to your point, what he's making, it's an interesting point he's making though, because Frank's reply is, I'm just doing my job. But then you look at, and then Booth is like, well, I was doing my job, and I got nothing for it, except they tried to kill me for doing it. And you are doing the same thing, and people think you're honorable, and they want to, have you out in front of the president, and you're, whatever, hero. Meanwhile, they tried to send my best friend to kill me for doing my job. So, and
they have that scene with Coppinger, that guy who comes in and is like, he's like, I think they on purpose make this guy over dramatic, where he's like, he's not a killer, he's more like a predator. And he's like, you want to know about Leary? Here's what he does to his friends. He like throws a picture down of someone's throat cut or whatever.
Wait, so you just had that picture just like on file?
Like, right over there? You just carried it around,
fucking locked and loaded. Just it's in my wallet. Hold on,
keep it in my wallet
in case anyone ever comes over to me and asks me about this.
Put him on the list.
CIA agent. I have it next to the picture of my kids in my wallet.
Back when the wallets had the plastic sleeves.
Yeah, the plastic sleeves. He's got his little like wet boy photos right after the family dog. But then when Eastwood's like, oh, I've seen what you do to your friends, and they have Malkovich finally lose it, he's like,
I love when he gets outraged.
Yeah, he's like, what they didn't tell you is that they sent my friend, my compatriot, to kill me. I love that fucking line that he has. And he's like, they made me a monster, and then they had to get rid of me because we can't have monsters wandering the quiet streets. And I was like, that's a good fucking line. And that is how it works.
It's also true. Yeah.
They make monsters. They ruin people's lives and then flop them back into society to either go nuts or they get whacked by their own government, So, and also John Malkovich is so fucking good in this, man. I mean, I don't know do you guys agree?
Yeah, I mean, he's the Clint Eastwood thing is he's old, and he's obviously a legendary actor. But the whole like Rene Russo thing is so corny to me. Like at the time, I guess when I was younger, I didn't think anything of it. Now watching him, like, God, he's old, and there's no way she would be interested in this guy. No, this is so unbelievable.
Only for a movie, yeah.
Some executive was like, okay, this doesn't. It's a great plot, but we need a love interest.
When she starts kissing him, I was like, she must have had to like gag back her own vomit, like having to make out with 62-year-old Eastwood. And like, I think Tom Cruise is 62 or something by now, and he's probably had work done or something, but he looks like a much younger man. Clint Eastwood looks all of 62.
He always looks old.
At least he looks 62 at least.
But he plays the piano.
He plays the piano and he says charmingly sexist shit.
That's right. Yeah,
isn't charming at all.
Yeah, but It's because he's a straight shooter. Like,
he's old and an asshole. Oh, what a fucking prize!
But he's the curmudgeon with a golden heart.
Sure. Yeah, we haven't really. We don't know any better. The golden heart. He was in the Kennedy clique, right? He believed in Kennedy. He thought Kennedy was cool. He wanted to be the guy, in Kennedy's crew.
Yeah, well, he hesitated.
Yeah, and then he hesitated. He didn't take a bullet for him. All we know is that he drinks a bunch. He's divorced. He plays the piano. He lives by himself, and he has a tendency to get his partners killed.
Likes ice cream and ice cream.
And he likes pigeons.
he's a terrible partner.
If she looks back, she's interested. I don't think that's scientific, Frank.
Yeah, I've always liked that line though, because I think that's kind of true. I've had that happen with me. She looks
really?
back.
Were you sharing a hoodie or whatever that's you call them?
Hoodsie, though.
At the Lincoln Memorial.
Would you say this is
a couple of hoodsies?
Would you say this is John Malkovich's most memorable John Malkovich movie? Like her character?
There's a bunch.
Like he's in a shit ton of movies. Like,
even in the cheesy movies, he's memorable. Like Con Air and stuff.
Yeah, Con Air. He's great in Con
Air. Yeah, he is.
Rounders. He plays Teddy KGB.
And it's funny because I feel like this character, and I almost actually picked Dangerous Liaisons too because that's a phenomenal guy.
That I've never seen.
Oh,
I haven't seen that.
I might pick that damn movie in a future episode. But I feel like this role is great for him because I know a bunch of people that did theater with him and stuff back in the day, and they said that they would all go out to the bar afterward. They do shows, and they said Malkovich would go. He'd go out with everybody, but he would go to the bar. And he would go all the way to the corner where nobody was, and he would order a Dr. Pepper, and he would just I have a Dr. Pepper. And then he would just sit there by himself drinking a Dr. Pepper while everyone else is bullshitting, and they'd be like, John, come over. And he's just like, I'm fine. And then at a half an hour, he'd leave, and everyone would be like, why does he come out? Why does he even go to the bar? Does he feel like he's being social? Because he doesn't talk to anybody. So hearing about him from the early days, I feel like this probably is kind of a lot like him. He's just kind of like a strange outsider loner type guy.
Yeah, I read that he to prepare for this role in The Line of Fire, he secluded himself for a month.
Yeah,
to get into the mindset of this secluded assassin. Yeah, which was that. I honestly believe he doesn't need to do that. He probably just could have walked right off the fucking street. He just wanted a vacation.
I stay in character at all times during the podcast.
I've been in character for the past 20 years.
None of this is my personality at all, actually.
No, really?
I have an accent.
When we turn it off, you're like, well, that was hard to hold on for so long as it's American.
I'm finally telling the truth. Joshua, you never really weighed in on your thoughts and opinions.
I mean, there's a lot about the movie I really liked. It was far more entertaining than I remembered it being. I mean, I remember seeing it in the 90s, but I don't think I saw it since then. So revisiting it, it was there was a lot that I had completely forgotten about, and there were a lot of scenes that I did remember perfectly clearly, like the duck hunting scene, and I did not remember anything about him obtaining the checks, and that was a legitimately terrifying scene where he follows the lady from the bank home. To cover his tracks for making the mistake about where he went to high school. That was a legit, really scary scene.
That is fucking
and it's I'm afraid I can't allow you or your roommate to leave. Oh shit, you're about to get murdered.
You shouldn't have been from Minneapolis.
Yeah. And she's so bubbly.
I know. Oh god, that's a horrible scene.
Yeah.
And the worst guard dog ever that does nothing.
That dog. What the fuck, dog?
No, you suck.
Bad boy. Bad boy. Wasn't it a German Shepherd?
Yeah, I was saying, German Shepherd.
And
just barking.
That's a bad direction.
Your one job is to be like a guard dog.
Yeah, if you're going to get a dog that doesn't do shit, why would you get a German Shepherd?
You're not even that soft, motherfucker.
Like they're supposed to.
You gotta protect.
And Wolfgang is
owner.
from Germany. I have to imagine he knows about German Shepherds and their history of, like fucking attacking people.
Yeah.
Get a Pekingese. Get a Chihuahua.
Chihuahuas actually bite more people than anyone.
Yeah, so get a, I don't know, what's a really lazy dog? A greyhound?
Basset hound.
Yeah,
Basset. There you go.
Basset hound. That's good. That's a good choice. Yeah,
Someone just throws a chihuahua at him.
that would be more effective than that fucking dog.
Then that would
dog.
explain why he's got to put the makeup on to cover up the scars from the Chihuahua damage from the earlier scene 25.
Right.
I
love that he does the Chuck Norris neck snap with the like jaw, like so you're like, wait, what? Does that really work?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a trained assassin, so you're like, I guess he would probably do something like that.
Could people really do that? I always wondered about those like Chuck Norris movies where he just walks around snapping everyone's necks by like spinning his hands.
Not as easy as that, probably, but you can probably fucking kill someone by doing that.
I know.
If you knew what you were doing, yeah.
Not if they're from Minneapolis.
It's like, you have a very pleasant way about you.
But yeah, I did not remember that at all about this movie. Yeah. But there are several distinct scenes. The one where he's dressed up like kind of the hobo guy, and he's kind of like wavering
swaying back and forth.
Swaying back and forth. The gun in the lake, the pond scene with the ducks, and then obviously the final elevator.
The leaping from building to building.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember that at all either. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, it's a good chase scene.
I didn't remember the part one even having a partner, or two, that partner dying.
Yeah, and apparently Malkovich improvised the putting the gun in his mouth thing.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because he has the gun on him, and then they're just filming, and Malkovich decided to be like, and put the barrel of the gun in like way in his mouth, and he's just like, really? Go ahead and fucking do it, man. That was a hardcore scene. That was good.
That's the kind of acting you can expect, but if you just sit alone at the bar,
drinking a Dr. Pepper,
drinking a Dr. P.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the majority of it. I find a lot of it just sitting 30 years hence so ridiculous, very, very dated. It's just like, wow, that shit's arcane. How did it even work? Like, he's calling from a payphone, and and they're tracing him because minutes, but then he must have built a thing that routes it, that fools the phone number that it's coming from, and everyone's just like this technology he just created, and you're the fucking government, and you didn't know about it. Like, well, I don't understand. Like, it's so weird. This side of 9/11, I just feel like everything changed. Like, surveillance state, like so much more was just like we take for granted. Like, it's just exists now everywhere. Yeah. So the idea that somebody could get away with half this shit is just insane.
And part of it is like you want it to work, because like the phone calls are really fun. It's a weird word to use, but like it's just so fun to watch both of these people, and they filmed them on the phone with each other in the movie, so it wasn't like, one take of a guy talking and another take of a guy talking, and they're not actually talking. They actually have them talk to each other in the movie. So those takes are real, which I think is a great idea. And just Malkovich is so fucking good in those scenes, man. And he's just so dead inside and like bored with all this stuff, and he's just toying with them.
That should have been the love story.
It kind of is, in a weird way. It kind of is. But I also think Eastwood does really good work in this, and I hadn't ever before this movie actually really thought of him as an actor, which is a weird thing to say, but like he plays archetypes so often that he's just squinting and gravel voice growling about shit, and you're like, well, that's like a hat you can wear, but that's kind of all I ever saw him do. And this is the first movie where some of those scenes that he has with Rene Russo, especially, where like they kick him off the security detail for fucking up, and he's like looking out the window, recounting what happened the day Kennedy got shot. He's like, I should have taken that bullet. The whole damn country would be different if I had had the guts to take that bullet. And he was like, that would have been all right with me.
Has Clint Eastwood ever been in a movie without a gun?
I don't know, man. I've seen a handful of his movies. I'm not like
Gran Torino.
There's definitely a gun in Gran Torino.
I think there's a gun. Yeah, get off my lawn.
Oh, the Bridges of Madison County. Are there any guns in that one?
No.
Probably
I
not.
saw- I
That
actually
might
saw
be-
that. I
I
actually saw that movie.
think there's an Uzi in that.
Yeah. Shooting off the bridges of Madison County. Fucking Uzi.
I'll have to check out the bazookas of Madison County to see if there's guns in that. But I guess I never really thought about his range. I mean,
You mean how far he can shoot?
that was it. That was his range before this movie. How far he can shoot. Gold star.
I can think of one without a gun.
Well,
I came up with
yeah.
$1 Million Baby. He's
Yeah.
good in that.
Okay, all right. That's
that's
three potential movies.
Crushingly sad fucking
Yeah,
movie.
that's a depressing
oh my
movie.
God.
But he's good in it.
Yeah, he is. Everyone's good in that movie.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. Damn. But
Yeah.
oof. Mystic River. Jesus Christ. This guy is
He's not
like
Mystic River.
no, he directed Mystic
Yeah, he
River.
played the river.
Yeah, he played the river.
I'm credited.
He's a mystic.
It got cut.
His turn as the river in Mystic River was some of his best work.
It's so
Hit
good.
the titular line.
We should probably quickly say what we didn't like about this movie. We've talked a little bit about what we didn't like. Are there any major airing of grievances we want to get to about this movie?
Well, I think it's kind of laughable how little they care about the president in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's a clear and present danger, and they have a notable threat, and the chief of staff is like, "Who cares? Like, we're gonna win this thing."
Fuck him! Turn those machines back on.
No one cares about the life of the president, I guess. So
Yeah.
Frank's the only one who gives a shit, apparently.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's kind of laughable that like no one's taking this guy seriously. But it is interesting. I mean, Joshua brings up a really good point where the technology is pretty laughable, but it's passable. Like nowadays, today, none of this. I mean, yeah, it's like one phone call would set off 1 million alarm bells.
Right. And
But,
they need long phone calls between these two because those are great scenes and they develop the character balance between them.
Yeah.
So they have to come up with some fucking MacGuffin again to like make like, well, he's doing a thing with the thing and then we can't track him, but
he's using a fleaver.
Yeah,
Like,
right. He's a fleaver.
I want to see an updated version
Damn
of this where it's just John Malkovich and Clint Eastwood texting each other.
Yeah.
Fucking emojis.
I don't think he would have gotten nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. For
All caps.
Text-based.
I kept you in the game, Frank.
Assassin
LOL.
I just want to do it for the lulls.
ROTFLMAO. Shruggy.
Yeah. Why do you want to kill the president? Shruggy.
Yeah, but I remember thinking this was super cool. The gun assembly thing. I like how they made. What is completely unnecessary though is like the rabbit hole about his interest in modeling. like, do you need to have this massive backstory in modeling to create this gun out of plastic? I don't know. I guess maybe it seems so far fetched in the 90s where someone would have any interest in doing this. Like, I mean, he's got to be a weirdo and like models or something.
Yeah. There's so many scenes in this where if I was the actor in the scene, I'd film it and go and tell my friends, I'm in the movie, but they're totally going to cut it. Like the guy in the wheelchair who's like, see this gun? If Mitch comes back, this gun is for him. There's a bunch of scenes like that.
Whoa. Put the gun down.
Put the gun down. Yeah, I know, right? like the landlady who's like, smoke was coming from crumbs in toaster caught on fire. You know. And
is that why she was investigating the room?
Yeah, and she's like, these years I love America.
Yeah, I love it.
It is my home.
I still cry.
Make me sad to look at the pictures. That was like, that old lady. I'd be like, well, I got paid, but they're gonna cut me. And then you watch it. You're like,
JFK movie make eyeball drain. Oh,
no, they kept it in.
But no other grievances. I think obviously the cool scene on it is the precipitous fall from the elevator onto the glass where he's just like, take my hand. He's kind of, this is like Batman.
Yeah.
But then he's like, No, Frank.
Yeah, it's like he's gonna die either way. Like he leaves that like voicemail where he's like,
No, Frank, I'm
well,
dead.
Frank, as you're listening to this, I'm already dead.
Yeah.
Did you stop me?
I always thought that was kind of cool. Did you stop? Like, yeah, he leaves the
That's
post
neat.
the posthumous voicemail.
Yeah, it's creepy and neat. Creepy all the way to the end, right?
Yeah.
For me,
Totally
the dislikes on this movie are few. I don't like the age gap, as we said, between Eastwood and Rene Russo. Although I do think it's funny when they're dropping all their guns and nightsticks and shit and trying to get into bed. There's just like there's like
that's like straight out of Naked Gun. Like Frank Drebin does that shit.
To the floor.
But I love that line that he's like, I gotta put all that shit back on.
No, that's a great line.
I was like, that's a great line.
That is a great line. Gotta put all this shit back on.
I thought that was funny.
I also was happy that they didn't have them have sex.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, enough. Oh, God. No, the old man. Jesus Christ. Have him fall asleep or something. It's fucked.
Everything smells like mothballs.
That's just my
He has
breath.
those those sock suspender things on. Those
sock garters. Yeah.
sock garters, yeah.
And they each have little guns in them. Tiny little guns. Pull one out of each side.
Baby guns.
Click, click. So many damn guns.
I keep all my old ice cream sticks down there.
My hoodsies.
My Hudzy sticks. I always keep a backup Hudzy stick.
Yeah, but that was my main like problem. And there are a couple of chief of staff scenes where people are barking at Frank, where you're like, this doesn't really advance the plot. He's in hot water the whole fucking time. We don't need to see him be in hot water 8 times.
I want your gun and your badge on my desk.
Can him? Yeah, I know. The commissioner's breathing down my neck. That kind of
loose
shit.
cannon.
Also, does the partner add anything to this movie? I feel like you can kind of remove him. His partner. It's
oh
like,
no,
he's just kind of like a wet noodle guy.
Exactly.
It only added. It allowed John Malkovich to kill someone.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
In front of Frank.
He does a fine job, but he is unnecessary as hell. Yeah. The scenes between them are very perfunctory. He's like, "You're a good agent, Al." I know, because I've been around for 156 years of having partners, and you're a decent one.
Yeah. He's been through 24 presidencies.
I know, right?
He failed to stop the Lincoln assassination.
Yeah, and, Al just exists to be like, you're like, oh no, that guy's poor wife and daughter. When he gets killed. And you get to see Malkovich.
It was self-defense, Frank.
Yeah, self-defense. But Malkovich's logic is airtight throughout the entire movie. He's like, you could have killed me and saved your partner and died yourself, but you chose to live. So I killed your partner. He's like, there's no fucking irony. Like, yeah, there was actually quite a bit of irony.
Booth's got a point. Like
he's sipping his Dr. Pepper and dropping truth bombs on you, man. I also wish that Malkovich's descent to his death was slightly more graceful. They have like a waving arms dummy guy. I kind of wish they'd had him like do a swan dive and just keep form, because like he wants to die. He wants to win and die, but if he doesn't win, he still wants to die.
Yeah, the panic.
I wish he had fallen a little more gracefully than it looked like a fucking, dummy flapping in the breeze. Yeah.
Like in an alternate cut, I think they did an Aliens 3 chest burster where she's going into the lava and an alien shoots out of his chest.
Like, that tracks because he's basically just an alien in human skin.
One thing I like about him though, as I watched one of those like on YouTube where it's like him going through his career and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's really interesting because I think it's just kind of the way he talks and kind of the roles he's taken. But it's interesting that he just chooses random stuff. Like he's not very picky about roles. Like he tells a story about how he had done like a period piece and I forget this was the video and he's like, oh, I had a writer friend over and they sent me the script for Con Air. And the guy had never read a script before, his friend, and he was like, "Can I read it?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." And he reads it, and I guess Malkovich reads it, and he throws it. He throws the script for Con Air across the room, and his friend's like, "Oh, can I read it?" And he's like, "Sure." And the next day he comes down and he says, "You know what? I really respect you because you would just like laugh at this and never do it." And he's like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" He's like, "I'm definitely doing that fucking movie." Like, he doesn't even like care. Like
he didn't even need to read it. He's just like,
yeah.
No,
What he said,
dude.
he's like an action movie that takes, of like a bunch of prisoners who are named after romantic poets or something like that. He's like, this is fucking great. He's like, I don't care. Like, it's really funny. Or then he'll do like Teddy KGB and then just some other random shit. Like, he's like, it's interesting because I think the way he approaches himself, you think he's like this serious actor, but then he'll go do fucking Con Air. So he's just like, whatever. Like, it's kind of an interesting approach.
Got to get these motherfucking snakes off this motherfucking plane.
I'll have to find the clip. They probably tells a story about it than I do, but I think it's just kind of interesting that the whole thing too is around him sort of having to be convinced to do Being John Malkovich.
Oh yeah, he didn't want to do that one.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I love the script," and he's like, "Why would anybody have any interest in it being me?"
Yeah,
and I forget who's the name of the writers, like Kaufman,
Charlie Kaufman,
Kaufman, and he was like, they went back to him multiple times, and they're like, he's like, "We'd love to produce this movie, but you got to choose anybody but me," and Charlie Kaufman's like, "No." Like he like refused to change it. Like, he's like, he's like, no. And finally he just was like, fine, I'll fucking do it. But it's
other weird trivia about Malkovich is that, and you might know this, like he's really good friends with Charlie Sheen. And Charlie Sheen like called him Malcatraz. That was like his nickname for him. And he was like, Charlie's a delightful fellow. So he's just a strange dude, man. He's just got a lot of eccentricities about him.
Yeah, I'll have to find that clip because I think they do talk about that where they're like, oh yeah, because in Being John Malkovich, it's laughable that his best friend would be Charlie Sheen.
Right, but he is. Yeah. All right. Well, we should probably grade this sucker.
Tis time.
Yeah, tis time.
On a scale of Malkovich movies?
Oh yeah.
Burn After Reading, which sucked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, agreed.
From a Burn After Reading to
I'd say Dangerous Liaisons for me anyway.
I've never seen it though. We should have picked that one at some point.
I'm probably gonna bring that back. It's so good. I'll say it's my rating, so I'm gonna say Burn After Reading to Dangerous Liaisons. So,
okay.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Coin. Okay.
I didn't have a lot to say about this.
Yeah.
This is actually maybe I shouldn't go first. I'm gonna give it a really strong B. It was pleasant. Something charming about it. John Malkovich is a delight to watch. But it's just such a dated time capsule that I was never not aware that I was watching something that was clearly from a time and a place that could never happen again. I don't have anything very interesting to say about it, but
okay.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
They can't all be bangers, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Brian?
Yeah, I think I want to give it a B+. I mean, I like this as I would have seen this when I was 14 or something, but I think there's a 90s sweet spot for these type of movies where they're not all they're not real thinkers in a way. Like they're just fun. And I can suspend the technology in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like watching that movie The Net with Susan Sarandon. And you're like, this is crazy. Like
Sandra Bullock, right?
Yeah, Sandra Bullock. Sorry. Yeah, it's like this whole world is going to depend upon a floppy disk, and you're like, oh, whatever. But, the fate of the humanity. But I think Malkovich is great in this. He was always this stands out as a he sort of makes this movie. I mean, just perfectly cast as the weirdo.
Totally.
And it doesn't even, to me, it's not even plausible that he'd be like an assassin in some way, but it works in a way that he plays more of a good deranged kind of individual. But yeah, I mean, there's parts I didn't remember, but I just remember thinking it being fun. I remember the ending is really cool. And the climax of, the elevator and he shoots out the lights and he's aim high, kind of thing. Like, oh, cool.
You bastard.
Yeah, the ending. His line in the end is pretty lame. You jerk, or
He said,
it's
"You
like,
bastard."
yeah, I know, but it's the same. It's
Yeah,
like,
totally. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh, you got me.
Darn it, you cheated.
Yeah. So, but it's a fun movie. I totally. The age gap thing did not hit me when I was younger.
Yeah,
and
totally.
some of the overacting, and I just thought it was a fun movie. I think there's a lot of these in the 90s that I just enjoyed. So it's a good popcorn movie, and it had a cool premise. If you like, the JFK stuff, and I think that it was kind of novel doing the phone conversations to kind of move the plot along, and I think we talked about it. In this era, this probably was plausible. I mean, big donor writes big checks. Don't pat him down. Like, you could probably, it's a shitty metal detector. Like, the president probably is glad handing people and saying hello. And so all this crazy shit that you would never see post 9/11 is kind of plausible, and it's a fun little time capsule. So I think overall it's a fun rewatch. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but there's a lot of parts I'd forgotten about, but yeah, I still really enjoyed it. I'd give it a B+ just based on Malkovich's performance alone.
Yeah. For me, I give it a B+ as well. Solid B+. I think it's really good. I was really pleased to see it again after a lot of time. Like I said, everything's been said about Malkovich. He's so great in this. Everything's believable. The low, dead, creepy stuff, the insane anger, everything in between. His cat and mouse phone calls with Clint Eastwood are masterclass stuff. Eastwood is also great. I think, like I said, this is the first time I ever thought about him as an actual actor as opposed to, a mannequin that glares. He's got some really good scenes in this where he's a human and vulnerable, which is neat. And even though he's old as fuck, you still want him to be in the action. You want him to carry it through to the end. Like, you still root for the guy, even though you're like, good Lord, no one would put you in this position. You're old as hell. Rene Russo has a bit of a thankless role, but she's a charming actor too. Like, she manages to spackle over a lot of shit in this and come out with a pretty good, believable performance and relationship. Even with Eastwood, you're like, I almost believe that she likes him. The reason for me not believing that they work is not her fault. It's the age gap and the script's fault. Everyone else is pretty secondary in this thing. And there's some scenes I'd cut. I wasn't bothered by the phone stuff. I was like, I just want it to work. I thought
it was cool.
Yeah, have lots of time on the phone and they can't find him. I like the disguises. I always like it when I watch these movies too, and you're like, they're on the run from someone and they never fucking change how they look. You're like, cut your hair, wear a hat, put on glasses, fucking anything, put a beard on. Jesus Christ. This one, you're like, yeah, exactly. Put on a false nose and put a fake belly on and shit. Be a homeless crazy guy, So yeah, I like all that stuff. All the old spy movie crap that they have in here, and yeah, it's just a fun movie. And at the heart of it, as I said before, is this strange nihilistic premise, which you really never see in a Hollywood popcorn movie. Which definitely this is, but like someone who wants to assassinate the president to punctuate the dreariness.
It's very art house.
That's kind of neat. A lot to love about this, I think, and not a lot to hate about it. So solid B+ from me.
Yeah. All right, what are we doing next week?
I've been wanting to do this movie for a while, and I was surprised you guys hadn't seen it. The 2014 film Whiplash, starring Miles Teller and Academy Award-winning J.K. Simmons. Mostly, it's kind of the same thing a little bit with this one, where J.K. Simmons is it's worth it just to watch his performance in this because it's really good. But yeah, it's where Miles Teller plays like he's like a young jazz drummer at like a conservatory in New York, and J.K. Simmons is like the band leader, and he's very explosive and demanding and that kind of thing. But it's really good. Like the music's good. I mean, if you like jazz, but
it's got Paul
I'm surprised neither of you had seen this.
Yeah, well, I mean, my son was born in 2011 and my daughter was born in 2013. So there was a lot of shit that I didn't see for a lot of years, and that was one of them. So yes, well, let's do some Whiplash.
Yeah, and there's no guns in it though. So
well, Clint Eastwood's not done.
Clint Eastwood makes it
If I was in it, there'd be 100 guns. Everyone would fucking die. and I'd get a lady, a pretty one.
I'd call it whip ass, and I'd shoot everybody. And she's playing with your schmeckle.